Hello there, my name is Mouse, and yes, today we're going to be making this hospital scene in Blender 2.8. And before we get started, I want to first get a few things out of the way. So yeah, the assets I'm using here are from my library, my 3D library, which you can find on cgtrader.com/ismailsvfx. I'll be leaving a link in the description, and you can see the assets I'm using here. And you will also constantly see me going back and forth between this library to check for what models I can use here. But the assets are also going to be, the entire project file is going to be available to my Patreon, on my Patreon page, to my tier 25 Patreons, if you want to access the projects. That will include all the assets that you see in this scene, which are quite detailed. Just first find something here with PBR textures, well modeled, and everything. So yeah, let me show you how I linked these projects again, because this time I'm not copying and pasting the project from a different file. What I'm doing is I'm using the link option here to import the projects, the different assets into the scene. And let me show you how that works before we get into the actual tutorial. So for example, we have, let me see, what can I use here? Let's see if I can get this. Yeah, we have this water container, and if I wanted to use this in the project, and I think I did use it. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, it's here. Yeah, so if I wanted to use it in this project, I have it under a collection here called water container, and all I have to do is go to this project and then link, find that project. So it's water container. Go into that project and find the collections folder and find the water container folder, and then I can link that into this project. So you can see that we have it now. In case I make any changes to this in this file, those changes will be updated to this as well, because this is a linked object. And you can see that this linked object doesn't come with it's a mesh, but it doesn't come with you can't modify it within this project. If you tab into edit mode, it's not active. You can't do that. Just make sure that so you can see there is no edit mode or weight paint or whatever. It's imported as an empty, and you can see all the properties it has are just empty settings. There's no modifiers, there's nothing. If you want to make any changes, for example, if I want this to be red instead of blue, I'll just have to go to this project file and make that change. Slow. Okay, make that change, save, and then in this project all I have to do is reopen that project, and the changes should be adjusted. So I didn't save the last time, but it's the same object here, so it should have the same changes reflected. So let me just wait for the materials to compile, and then look at this. You can see that change will be reflected in this project and any other linked objects that you have in the scene. So that's what I'm going to be doing for all the linked objects that I have, and I have quite a few here. Most of these are all linked objects from previous projects I created. And if you want to see how I made any of these projects, they're all any of the assets that I have here. If you want to see how I made them, you just have to go to my YouTube channel, this Top Channel 101 or the Blender Money channel, which is my second channel, and find the video there. So for example, I have these bevel profiles that I used for these, I don't know how to call them, and here there is a video for that. This Coca-Cola and this here is also should also be there. You can see it's still on private, but I think by the end of today it should be up, or by the time you're watching this, this should also be live for you to watch. So that's how I'm going to be linking the different projects into this project by just using the file link option. So there is also the option to append, but that will just import the object directly into your Blender projects, meaning that you can make changes directly there. And the difference between the append and link is that the append usually uses more resources as it's adding geometry into your scene, but this link, I've found that it doesn't matter how many times you duplicate an asset, it doesn't really increase the computation time for your PC. So that's why I prefer using the link option instead of the append option. And yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. And I also prepared a materials file because I didn't want to make materials for every single time I'm working on a project. Yeah, so I prepared all the materials that I need to use for this project beforehand, or some of them I just got from previous projects I used, and I'm going to be reusing them here. And what I do here, you can see we have quite a few. We have some concrete, some brick material that I use for this building here, and I have some wall material, glass, plastic, wall, weight concrete. Let me show you. This is what I used in the Blender Money video for this train scene, a train station. Where is that train station? This here. That's a very poor thumbnail, but let me show you how it looks on a flat surface like a plane, because I think it looks quite nice. Just Ctrl L, link other material. You can see you have weight surfaces that easily. And I think I also have asphalt, weight asphalt, or road material. This is going to be available on my Patreon page for free. You don't have to be a patron again. But let me show you the other materials I have. Yeah, also have this asphalt. It's using the same concept, but yeah. So let me just clear this, scale it, and link it. You can see. And this really looked nice in cycles as well, so just have to add some lighting and things should look nice. You can see, so you can use it for, you can use the materials for Eevee and cycles as well. I also have this this torn old poster material, and you can switch out the texture that you want with the different, and you just have to slap this on a wall or a different wall here, and use this material here, the wall material, on that. Maybe make some slight adjustments to this. See, then you can switch out this texture with whatever you want, and you should be able to use it anywhere you want. And this is procedure. These worn out areas are procedure. I'm just using as a noise material, so you can change that out and make it look like that. So again, this material pack is going to be available for free on my Patreon page. Link is going to be in the description. So now that I have that out of the way, let's start watching. Let's go into the time lapse and start looking at how I created this and as I talk over the process. Okay, so let's start by creating a plane. This is going to be the floor, or I'm also using it as to plan the layout of the corridor so that I can get the measurements I want, and just making that so that I can start working on the walls. And now I'm importing the materials that I'm going to be using from my materials or my shader project. What I'm doing there is just copying the object with the material I want to use and pasting it into this project, and then linking the materials from the object I copied from to the object I want I'm using in this project. Then here I'm just duplicating the flow to turn it into a wall. I'm also adding some ambient occlusion just to get the scene I'm working on to look somewhat close to the final version. Now I'm linking the door that I created in previous tutorials or previous videos into this project scene. I also wanted to bring this in early on so that I can get the true measurements of the scene I wanted to use. You can see the walls I had created were so large that I don't know, they were like 50 meters wide. So I brought in the door just to get the right measurements, which I think is about the door is about 2 meters, maybe even wider. I think 3 or 4 meters wide. So I'm using that to base the layout on. And then extrapolate the dimensions of the walls from that. And yeah, I didn't want to do a lot of complex modeling here because it wasn't necessary. Just using planes and adding a solidify modifier. And the reason why I'm using a solidify modifier instead of just extruding the plane into so that it has thickness is that it makes it easy to cut out walls that, like you see here. I'm just selecting the faces that I don't want there and just deleting them. But that makes it easy for me because and with the solidify modifier, it just adds the thickness I want directly there. Here I'm just adjusting the roughness of or the reflectivity of the walls by adjusting the material. And now I think I'm importing something here. I'm not sure what it was, but let's see. Yeah, so I'm importing these chairs, but I wanted to make a few slight adjustments here in the material. They didn't have any roughness to the surface, so I added a grind map for the reflections and ported that into the roughness of that material. Now I'm just importing that. As I said, when you link objects into your scene, when you change the original file, the linked asset also changes. And yeah, so I'm just making sure that everything fits. And now I'm just repositioning the camera so that I can get, I can compose the scene more easily. And again, whenever I want to change something, for example here, I wanted the color to match, the color of the seats to match the door. I just went to the original project and made the changes there, and they were reflected in the final version here. Here I have this water dispenser, and I also want to use it. Again, I'm going to be linking it directly into the project so that if I have any changes I want to make, I just go to the original version and then the changes will be reflected in the new project. And for every object that I import, I make sure that the original project has, for every asset I import, I make sure that the original project has a collection named that asset, and then instead of importing or linking the mesh, I'm just linking the entire collection. That means that I can have multiple objects connected into a single asset that I can import or append or link directly here. So you can see this, I didn't realize that this had a hole in it, so I went to the original version and made changes there to make sure that everything works correctly, and then just re-imported this refreshed or reopened the project for this change to be in in effect. I'm not sure if I show it here, but yeah. Now I'm just setting up the lighting a bit and making it a bit warmer because it looked a bit too cold for me. And yeah, another thing about you have to note about linking assets from a different project is that if you lose the original project file, for example, if I lost, if maybe the chair project got corrupted, the project here will not work as well. I wanted to make sure that there was the tiles closer to the walls were a different color from the original tile, from the center tiles, and so to make that change, I created a mask from a gradient texture, just using a color ramp, and then adjusting the colors like you see there, so that I have a mask for one side and another side, and now I'm just repositioning them to create that edge. And now I'm just using that mask as a mask to affect the colors of these two materials. Again, if you look at the materials that will be in the materials projects, that is going to be on my Patreon page. I should see how that is set up. And I would also recommend to get the project file so that you can examine the project even further, because some of the things I do here I may not be able to explain them directly. Just making sure that the scale is right so that the edge of those tiles are aligning with the mask I've created, so that we have we align the seams of the gradient exactly like that. So yeah, I also added a grunge map to kind of break up the reflections a bit there, as you can see, and I also use it as the bump map as well to add in some uneven surface into the tiles, which I think made the scene look a bit more realistic. Yeah, so I wasn't sure about the length of the corridor, so here I'm just adjusting things so that I can extend it a bit further and make it more, I don't know. Yeah, so here I'm just duplicating the chairs to set, because I've extended the corridor a bit. And the great thing about using linked objects is that duplicating these further, it doesn't really add a lot to the project, to the weight of the project. So you can duplicate hundreds before you will see, maybe hundreds is a bit too much, but you can duplicate quite a significant number without affecting the weight of the projects, without your project slowing down too much. Now I'm importing the retro TV set here, and again I'm linking it into the project, and I wanted the screen to be turned on, so I'm sure it's what I'm going to be doing here in a moment. Yeah, so I got a CNN image that I used in the texture, and what I did here, because this is a PBR material, everything is fed into its corresponding input. For example, the diffuse or color map is fed into the color map, into the base color, roughness into the roughness, and yeah, that's a roster. I do have some rosters in my neighborhood, and I do rear some chicken myself. So if you hear anything like that, that's my chicken, and it has decided to make some noise. So anyway, so I just blended that image into the screen to make it look like the TV is on. Preferably, you might want to use a video image, and the procedure is not that different, except you would have to use an image sequence or a video, and make sure that you turn on refresh frame rates when you import the video or image sequence. I also added a light there so that the TV is emitting some source of light, and I turned that into a blue. I give it a blue tint so that it can reflect in the scene, and also I also fed the image into the emission input so that I can have the the image emits some light, especially this is going to be more evident inside if you're rendering this in cycles, not so much in Eevee because Eevee doesn't support mesh lighting, but in cycles it adds a lot. Here I'm just also importing another image into the scene, which is this cleaning bucket, and yeah, basically just setting it up and aligning it into the scene. For what is left is it's not a lot, and now here I'm just importing the bevel profiles that I created. Also, you can find this on my Patreon page if you want to have them, and adding these small details is what makes your scene look more realistic. So, and you can find the profile. You can also get these profiles on my Patreon page. I also have a tutorial on how I made them. So if you want to see how I made them so that you can make them yourself, you can do that. Yeah, so there is not much left to explain here, but except if you're going to render using Eevee, you might want to also add an irradiance map. I don't think I recorded the part where I added that, but if you add that, it will kind of blend your lighting and make it bounce around in a more realistic way. So that's it. Enjoy the rest of the time lapse. Thank you.